I think it's important as women that we step back from what we think is normal or what society throws at us as normal as, settle down and stick with that guy because he's the father of your kid, or give this guy a chance. He's got problems, but work through it. And it's like, you know what? Hell no.
Welcome to the Radiant Mom Rising, the podcast that's all about celebrating and empowering the incredible hardworking mothers out there. I'm your host, Mary Dibble. I'm on a mission to equip you with the tools, strategies, and inspiration you need to conquer the challenges of motherhood and life, all while embracing your radiant self. Join us each week for amazing guest interviews, relatable stories, and a whole lot of fun. We're here to create a vibrant, supportive community where we can be our authentic selves, where no one feels alone, and where we uplift and cheer each other on along this incredible journey of motherhood. So, fellow Radiant Moms, get ready to rise, shine, and conquer the world. Let's grow together, laugh together, and make every week a celebration of the powerful, radiant moms we are. This is Radiant Mom Rising, and you're part of a community where your brilliance shines through. Are you ready to rise with us? Let's get started. Today's episode is an extraordinary journey into the uncharted territories of unexpected twists in life. I'm thrilled to be joined by the wonderful Christy Fontaine, host of the Hold My Shovel podcast. Together, we're diving into profound stories of unexpected pregnancies, stories filled with raw emotions, resilience, and incredible transformations. So grab your shovels, folks, because we're about to unearth some deeply moving and inspiring tales that will leave you in awe of the human spirit. Without further ado, Miss Christy Fontaine. Today, I'm so excited to introduce you to Christy Fontaine. Christy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Mary, for having me on your podcast. It's exciting.
Yes, I'm excited to have you here. And I'm excited for the listeners to get to know you and hear a little bit about your story. So please share with us a little bit of your background and everything that's led you to where you are today.
Yeah. Well, where do we start? Because it's a pretty deep pile, right?
Yeah.
I'm from northern New Hampshire. I was born and raised in a small little mill town. Maybe I'm an odd duck because my parents are still married. I have one sister that's older than me. And I think our hometown population might have been around 10,000 people. So small town for most. It was a tight-knit community. And it was nice to also leave. I'll say that. I had gone to college in the same hometown. And then I left, probably around 2004. And I jumped the border over here to Maine. And I've been here ever since. So it's not too far. It's a nice buffer. I'm like close to hometown, but just another buffer to keep the family from barging at the door at all times, right?
Yeah.
So I guess we could say that back in 2003, I found out that I was pregnant and had to contact the father because we weren't technically a team yet or dating yet. It was just one of those things that you were young and dumb and it happens, right? And how old was I? I had just turned 24 when I found out, and very scary. I was always the one that said that I never wanted children because just never wanted them. Wasn't my lifelong want to be a mommy role. So I found a mutual friend and I said, hey, you have to give me so-and-so's number. It was even that bad. So that's when people were starting to get cell phones. Yeah. It's that bad. So I said, you need to give me so-and-so's number. And he's like, he's really not looking for a relationship right now. I said, not for TMI, but I need the number and it's way past that. And I don't know if he hooked on to what was going on, but long story short, get his number and I leave a voicemail, which was, hey, haven't talked to you in a few weeks and we need to talk, which is probably no one's phone call that they ever want to make, right? So he had driven up to my little bitty apartment in a snowstorm. This must have been January. Yeah, so snowstorm. Knocks on my door, comes in, and I said, I don't know how to roundabout this, but I'm pregnant. So we sat there in silence. And the funniest part about this was I had a National Geographic show playing in the background. And it was tropical fish. That's all I can remember. And so we went radio silent because it was awkward. I just told this guy I was pregnant. And the narrator, in a very thick British accent on the show, said, and then the male releases his sperm. And I was just like, oh, isn't this timing just freaking perfect? So we laughed, and he was really scared. I was scared. We were both young. And he kind of went off into the night and probably drank himself silly. I just kind of, yeah, I was alone. And probably 3 days later, he called me and said, we got this. We got this. We'll figure it out. And I'll be up next, whenever it was, for my ultrasound. So I said, okay, well, we'll figure this out as we go. And the next couple weeks come, going for an ultrasound. And my mom came with me because my she's the cat's meow. She's pretty cool. And so she came with us, and I look over at the screen, and I knew what I saw, and they were off gabbing. And I just kind of held my breath, and the radio tech, or whoever, the ultrasound tech, scans over belly again and said, oh, well, look what we have here. And there was two. There was. So not only was I not trying to have children, I got two. So yeah, I was 9 weeks along. They were two little dust balls on the screen, and I just froze. And I was just like, holy shit. Like, what else are you going to say? And just, okay. I grew up real fast. I was working in a kitchen at the time, and I think I lasted just a few more months before I really was starting to feel the throes of being on my feet all day and saying I have to, whatever. So my parents took me back in. She goes, I don't want you in your apartment. I want you to be well fed. I want you to have your full on support, while he was down at the lower of the state working. So yeah, so that was a fast and furious wake up call, January of 2003. And fast forward to August 2003, two beautiful baby girls were born, and total opposites from day one. And we tried to make it work. And so that they were born in August. By the next March or April is when we moved in together. He bought a home. We moved in, and it was really hard because we didn't have a relationship. Like, we were formed by accident. All of us were formed by complete accident. And again, going back to, I was really young and naive. And fast forward 4 more years, we had a son together also, just a single son. And yeah, it was really difficult because as the time passed on and the relationship tried to do its relationship things, yes, he had a good job. Our bills were paid for. We had a roof over our head, but there was something so huge missing. There was a huge bolt missing from our entire life, which was, I was never the priority. Friends always came first. He liked to drink. He liked to do all this other stuff. And this relationship lasted for 16 years. The last 3 were horrible. And I stayed for the kids, which was wrong. And if anybody's listening and if you're staying for the kids, just don't do it. It's not worth it, because in that 16 years, I lost myself. I put myself back into a box of someone else's standards or someone else's ideals, and wasn't living my best self. Again, young and dumb, didn't know. And I've grown up a lot since then. And since then, we don't speak anymore. I think it's one of those relationships where it's best we don't communicate, because the kids are now, my daughters are my daughters are 20 now, my son's 16. So everybody can navigate their own puddles with parents and how the relationships work. He hasn't spoken to one of my daughters in over 5 years, and my son is like spotty iffy. So the dichotomy of, having twin girls and he only really speaks to one, it's gross. It's just, I will never be able to wrap my head around. But I left that whole situation in 2018, I think. So yeah, it was about 16 years together. Back in 2016, I bought my own business. I bought a cleaning business that was already kind of established with clients. And I knew that I could not raise 3 kids off of a local grocery store income or what have you, like a normal 9-to-5 job, and still have nice things or try to do life. So I bought the business and hit the ground running. I had the business paid for within, I think, 2 months. And I did well for myself because I had an end game. I said, I need to get out of Dodge and this is my ticket out, scratching and clawing all the way through. And I got out, I saved money. I bought myself a nice truck, found a nice little rent and started my own life on my own. And then fast forward, where am I on my timeline? I don't want to jump around too much and like get you confused, but yeah. So I ended that 16-year relationship. Finally got out on my own. I've got a good business. I'm supporting myself at this point. Got 3 teenagers. They're going kind of through the throes of a split of their parents, which I don't think was that new on them because, inside the home, they knew that things were bad for a whole 3 years, if not longer. And it's really hard to hide things from kids. They're not stupid. They know what's going on. So once I got my little rent and I had, still had my cleaning business to support us. And then I started dating again and started dating a man. And he had built his own home, but liked to spend time with us a lot more than, being at home. And that works great. It's all punch drunk at first, right? We all think that everybody's wonderful and grandiose, and you take those red flags. They give you a bouquet of red flags right at the get-go, and you just dismiss them because, oh, they're cute or it's okay. We'll work through this. They're a nice person. So be it. And so it goes. So everything was okay for a little while. And then the pandemic happened. So fast forward to let's go to March, the world closed down. April was kind of getting scary. Yeah, 2020.
Yeah.
And at this point, I was really scared as far as my line of work at the time with the cleaning business. Everything was closed down. Am I going to have income? What's going to go? Well, nobody knew. And of course, I didn't. But I've always been okay with money. Nice, make money in the winter. And it would pretty much carry me through the whole year. So that's when he came to me and said, why don't you guys move in with me? I built a home. We'll build some extra bedrooms in the basement and we'll buy the field across the street because my end game is to have a beautiful garden that's huge and have a little farm stand so I can do all my cooking and all the little homesteady, wonderful, kitschy white picket fence, right? Perfect little life. So he had a lot of skeletons in his closet. A year prior to us meeting, he had found his nephew had committed suicide in his garage. That was heavy on a new relationship. And that was a huge red flag. But again, how do you navigate that one without sounding like, you can't tell someone to get over that or grieve, whatever. But as time went on, that became a huge problem in our relationship because every problem always stirred back to that one incident. And also his divorce, his nephew's suicide. And on top of that, he was a very heavy drinker. And I don't drink. So, and the first one drank too. And it's just kind of funny because it goes back to my upbringing, my parents. I mean, my dad would have a 6-pack of beer and it would last him all summer. He would just have one after he mowed the lawn, and my mom doesn't drink. So it's like, it's really funny how I grew up with that not being a problem, but ended up with 2 men that had a severe problem with it. I find it very unfair in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, dealing with the second one and his problems, and it just didn't get better. It just, the drinking was heavy, personality problems. Both of them were very narcissistic. The second, and very both different narcs. Like the first relationship, the 16-year relationship, a lot of the problems would go unspoken, never resolved. We wouldn't talk about it. Everything got shoved under the rug. And with the second one, everything was like upfront. Let's talk about it. Let's have this fight. Let's have it now. Let's get it out. And I don't know which one was better or which one was worse, but I think talking about it, if I was to choose, is the way to go. So yeah, it went kind of tumultuous from the time that I moved in because we purchased the land, which is a whole other podcast. That's a whole other ball of wax. Basically, yeah, and it kind of throws me to where I am now. So I'll touch it a little bit. So basically, throes of 2020, the banks are backed out. Real estate's at its all-time messy high. I tried to purchase the land, but it was easier to do it through his equity, through his house or through his collateral of the house. They remortgaged his house and I landed on the mortgage debt. Yeah. So I landed on the mortgage debt part of it, but not on the deed. So fast forward to last year when I said, I've had it with this. I'm moving out with the housing crisis everywhere, with the inflation prices everywhere. Rent around here, I'm sure rent where you are, rent everywhere is stupid, crazy expensive. And with 3 kids and a couple pets, it really marginalizes your opportunity or your availability. There's no inventory out there. And because I was in that bank mess with my name on something else, banks wouldn't lend me a loan for my own. So luckily, by the grace of God, one of my dear friends said, "Hey, I've got 3 bedrooms. I'm an empty nester. Come back here." And that's where I am now. So yeah, it's been really hard, but I have changed so much in the last year. I don't even know who I am because I went from taking so much crap for so many years to finally realizing like I am so much more than what anybody tells me I am. Like it's changed my life on what love should be, what love should not be, really loving yourself first and loving your kids second. I know that some people might argue with me. I love my kids endlessly, but you come first. And now that they're a little older, it's easier because I don't have to run around after them. You probably have littles.
I
Yeah.
have 1 teenager and 2 little ones.
But I think it's important as women that we step back from what we think is normal or what society throws at us as normal as, settle down and stick with that guy because he's the father of your kid, or give this guy a chance. He's got problems, but work through it. And it's like, you know what? Hell no. So I rationalized in my head that, I wasted 16 years of my life with the first one, 4 years with the second one. And if I didn't smarten up, it would be 16 years with the second one because time flies. And I'm like, I'll be damned if I lose 32 years of my gosh darn life for 2 men who don't give a shit about me. Because true love does not constitute, yeah, it's hard work, but it's like, it should be so much easier than this. And within all this peril and bullshit, for a lack of better words, sorry, potty mouth, but for all of this crap that life has given me, it's fertilizing me to let me grow. It's like, they say the universe keeps repeating lessons until you learn them. And I think I've landed there as far as like figuring crap out, maybe a little bit late in life, maybe a bit of a late bloomer, but I believe that this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And it's just amazing when you can tune into yourself with the greater being, if you believe in a God or the universe or spiritually or just inwardly yourself. You can teach yourself a lot by just excluding a lot of the noise that you. Yeah. So sitting quietly with myself has been really cathartic. Sitting with myself and just, I probably shouldn't call it this because I'm putting it out there in the universe, but I call it my homeless spots in my, because I'm self-deprecating and humor is my sidekick. So if I don't laugh at myself, I'd be crying. So it's okay. I have these little spots that I park in, and I have my favorite one is down by a river, and I do a lot of reading and writing and thinking and take pause. And it's just, I think we all need to just find a place to decompress daily, because if you don't, then that's when you get into that rep. Yes, it bubbles up and it's so unhealthy. So it's like either you take, morning meditation or drink some tea or your coffee, whatever your fix is. Or maybe it's, I don't know, maybe you like doing puzzles or just simplify your life, because I can guarantee you that all the hype that, all these influencers have now, and all I can say is that people are thinking life so wrong, because at the end of the day, it's so simple. Your basic necessities are just like, your food, some shelter, a few clothes, maybe few of your favorite books, and a vehicle helps. That you need a vehicle, but everything else is really back to basics, like fundamentally what you only need. So as I go through this void of my life, like an in between, it's okay. And I've learned that it's okay. And I'm okay with where I am because I've grown so much. Yeah. I don't think I would have learned any of this in the past year had I stayed and went through the motions of being like, this will change. We can work on it, this and that. And it's just, nope. And I've been really steadfast with myself. And he keeps trying to get a second chance, what he calls a second chance. And I'm like, I really have no interest. And I don't know why you keep considering this a conversation to have. But it's just like when you're out, you're out. When you're done with something, it's like Forrest Gump when he just didn't feel like running anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel in my life. I was just running and running and running, and then he just stopped. And I'm just like, and I've told my friends, I'm like, do you ever remember when Forrest stopped running? He just didn't feel like it anymore.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I've changed a lot in the last year alone
That's wonderful.
from just yeah, from a crazy story. And I guess I didn't really realize how crazy my story was until I'm just talking about it, and I know I'm not alone. So
Attention, hardworking moms. Are you ready to kickstart your journey to a thriving online business? Introducing Learn and Earn Profits Online Max, a groundbreaking digital resale course that's revolutionizing success. Learn how to create your own funnel and sell this exact course, pocketing a whopping 100% of the profits. Yes, you heard that right, 100% yours. Lipo Max is an enhanced platform packed with incredible modules and valuable insights designed to elevate your online business game. Don't miss this chance to join a supportive community where hard work meets exceptional opportunities. Say goodbye to the hassle of creating courses from scratch. Lipo Max does the heavy lifting for you, empowering you to learn and earn in an environment tailored for your success. Act fast and secure your spot in this game-changing program and set yourself up for a prosperous life. Join the Lipo Max community today. Click on the link in the show notes to learn more or contact me today with any questions.
You're not. And you know what's beautiful, Christy? I want to just say right now, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing this, because
yes,
you are not alone. We all have different forms of things and traumas and experiences that we've been through. And it's so honoring, in my
yeah,
opinion, to hear other people share this and realize, we don't talk enough about this stuff.
right,
We're almost like act like we're ashamed of it. But it's all part of us growing and learning and improving. Because like, for instance, with your story of the different types of relationships, you learn just two critical aspects of like what you do want and you don't want.
yes,
And that's a very big thing when you're looking for the right person, because it all starts with you. If you can't love yourself, if you can't respect yourself, your boundaries, and live for you, then who are you to expect someone else to come in your life and do the same? You're not going to attract that right person.
no,
Yeah.
and it's so true because I did not realize what self-love was for probably most of my life on autopilot, thinking that it's coming from an outside source. Because I think that's, when you go back to your teenage dating years and when you're trying to be noticed and look at me, or you do things for validation, or you live vicariously through. I'm glad I didn't grow up with cell phones. Can you imagine when we were teenagers trying to do that crap? Like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm happy with the generation that the universe gave me to grow up the way we did, like
Yeah.
pre media and social crap. But I think we're on unless you're mature early in age, or you've had a tough love life where you've had to figure stuff out early for yourself. And I was no means spoiled, but maybe I was in a little bit. But I mean, we were blue collar. I mean, we didn't lack anything, but we certainly had used cars, and I wasn't living off silver spoons by any means. We worked hard. My parents taught us how to work hard. So it's just, I think when you're in the throes of teenage land, it's all about validation because you don't know who you are. I hate that question. What do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like, why can't we just aim for happy? Who cares what you are? Just be good at something and just aim for happy. And that's not taught. I think college is thrown on a lot of us, and that's okay. We all need a degree, or we need to do something more than being a store clerk. And no shame on store clerks, but I just think they're probably not living their best life either. And it's like if they were to open themselves up and realize, like, I am worth so much more. I think that's the bottom line of, I respect everybody from the CEO to the janitor, like we all should. But when it comes down to it, your self-worth needs to be realized so much sooner. And I think if that would have happened to me at an earlier age, I have a lot of questions like, well, maybe if I didn't get pregnant, where would I be? And that's okay, because I don't regret my kids now. I love them dearly. They're wonderful. Maybe they saved me in a way because we all grew up together and I've learned a lot from them. But I think I've learned the most about myself, honestly, in this last year. I've had like this awakening, this come to Jesus with reality of no one's coming to save you, and just keep working hard. And figure it out. And I also feel like I have so much things or so many things that I care about. Obviously, I keep those close and tight to me, but there's so much more that I do not give a shit about. And it outweighs the stuff that I care about because it doesn't matter. And once you figure out to let that worry go, there's some things that you just can't control. And it's really not worth your time or energy to put you wake up every morning and you're allotted like a certain amount of energy. And sometimes your children or your spouse or just outside forces can kind of affect your energy. You could be waking up happy and in a good mood. I've got this day, and then something happens and like, damn it, it's a derail. And I think the more you are aware and in tune to like these little hiccups, they're all okay. You just dismiss them, just let it go. If it doesn't worry you, if it's not going to matter in 5 minutes, don't give it more than 5 seconds of your energy because we're only here for a small amount of time. And I think the finite of that statement too kind of woke me up as just, being a 40. I think there's a wisdom switch too when you hit 40 something that just your eyes open, you think a little bit more clearer. Yeah, you give zero shits about what anybody thinks of you. I mean, I could probably walk outside looking like a hot mess half the time, and I honestly don't care. And as far as, someone recently asked, like, are you looking for a relationship right now? I said, just with myself, because this is the most important one. And taking care of myself, finding my creative outlet again, which is including in my podcast too, which is going to be fun. And I think it's cathartic to talk and to find out people's piles.
Yeah.
Pull from them because everybody has a story and it's all very interesting. And it makes us all unite at the end of the day as it normalizes being human.
Yes, we're real and we're here because we genuinely care. We want to inspire.
Yeah.
We want to encourage you. We want to make you not feel so alone on your journey as some of us have felt for so long. So this is a beautiful thing. And if you don't mind too, can you share a little bit about your podcast? I'd love to know,
Yeah.
and the listeners
Yeah.
to know a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So, I have a podcast that's going to launch on January 4th, and it's called Hold My Shovel Podcast. You can find it on all platforms and social media. Right now, I'm working on that. I'm old, so just
No, I know.
I
feel
know.
you.
I feel like I'm so technologically like in advance from where. Yeah, I'm working on it though. I made myself proud. I figured out how to make reels. Like I'm moving on up. So yeah. So Hold My Shovel Podcast basically stemmed from an idea that I had when people say hold my beer. So when someone says, hey, hold my beer, something really bad's about to go down or a bad decision or a bad choice is about to happen. So I'm like, you know what? Hold my shovel. And here's why, because we're all digging through piles of BS every single day. And it's just, I want to hold your shovel. Stop digging through it for a minute and start talking about it. I don't care if it's experiences that you got locked in an elevator, childhood experiences, a bad breakup, a weird roommate, like the time you jumped off a canoe to save your, like whatever loud, zany, hilarious, humbling, heartfelt, sad, horrifying story. I want to hear it all because at the end of the day, everybody can relate to something from somebody's story. And I think that we are today years old and we're a collection of, my collection of 44 years of choices. And some of them weren't great. Some of them were handed to me. Some of them were not mine to me. That's okay. And I like the human that I'm sitting in, like the human suit that I'm sitting in. It's okay. I've learned so much. But most importantly, everybody's saying be kind to others. Yes, be kind to others. It's imperative. But how often are we kind to ourselves? And I've really found that to be eye-opening is just be gentle to yourself, like as I say that, I call myself a dumbass 20 times a day, but that makes my day happy because I laugh at it. Like I said, humor is my sidekick. If I didn't laugh at myself, I'd be crying. Yeah. And most of my friends would tell you that they need a diaper around me because they say, if you don't stop right now, we're going to pee our pants, which is fine. I can bring that to the table all day long to make people laugh and just be stupid, like, just be, and some people might not like this word, but just be your original stupid self. Like, let your stupidity fly because guess what? That's where you're happiest. If you can
Let
just
your
be
guard
yourself.
down. Yeah.
Absolutely. No guards needed. Just be yourself, be wholesome, be you. And once you climb out of the box that you've been stuffed in, don't ever, 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 ever stick your foot back in there. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's just, I'm not looking back. I'm just taking the lessons that I've had for the last 100 years of my life and just running with it and not looking back with shame or remorse or regret. I guess we could all play that card, but that goes in the pocket of the past you can't get back. The future is not given to us yet. So you really just have to be present. And the more you sit with presence and understand that time is fleeting and time is precious, then you really hone in on just appreciating the now. But I think too many people are worried about, the fast paced, everything needs to be on demand, instantaneous. And I'm okay with waiting for whatever the next chapter brings. I'm just buckled in. I paid my tickets. I'm ready for the ride. Like just
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going. I don't. I have no clue. But I can just say that in a year from now, I hope that I'm not sitting in the same spot. So
I don't think, I'm telling you right now, Christy, you're not. Because I'm telling you, when you make that decision like you are right now to focus
yeah.
on you and do that, you're going to attract such wonderful things for yourselves. You're going to find such great people, just find great opportunities. I'm honestly can't wait. I hope to connect with you.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
course,
absolutely.
we're going to keep in touch. But I mean, even so, like bringing
Yes.
you back on and just having you share your experience from
Yeah.
this moment right here and a year from
Mhm.
now to help share, how things can change. Time is
Yeah.
precious, but there's also a lot that can happen in a short amount
Yeah.
of time when you put forth the effort, when you make certain decisions, when you treat yourself kindly. And
Yeah.
this is such a powerful story, Christy. I can't
No,
tell you
thank you.
how I know, of course, I love it. It's so wonderful to
I'm
me.
hoping this is what you needed for your podcast.
Oh my
So
God. Yes, of course. It's like, if this is what I want. I'm all about
yeah.
authenticity. I'm all about us being
Yeah.
open, sharing, encouraging, and inspiring. And
Yeah.
it starts with being vulnerable. It starts
Yeah.
with just
It does.
recognizing, you know what? I've made these decisions. They may not have always been the best or whatever, but I can learn from
Yeah.
them. It doesn't have to defeat
Absolutely.
me. It doesn't have to change the
No.
way my future happens. I am worthy
No.
of more. I recognize that
There
now.
is
And
There is
yeah,
no time for a pity party. Pity parties are not allowed. I mean, once in a while, if you're having a hormonal, need a chocolate time of the month day, sure. I'll
try it
give you a
out.
free pass on that, but don't let it ride for more than an hour. Like, don't let it consume your day. And there's so many negative Nancy's out there that just, and there was a good quote from, I listened to Rob Dial, the mindset mentor, and I'm pretty sure it's Rob that I heard this from, but he said there's two types of people in this world. There's batteries and there's vacuums. Either you're a battery and you get charged by people in their presence, or there's vacuums that just suck every little bit of life out of you. And I think we all can say that we all know batteries and we all know vacuums, and I can hear a vacuum coming. You
Yeah.
can, so, and the holidays are coming up. So you might be in the presence of some friends or family that are vacuums. Just go into it knowing that they're going to suck the life out of you, and don't let them. Just mindfully just throw it back at them with good energy. And it's only an hour or 4 of your entire life for a year. Suck it up.
Yeah.
So, and just don't let it get you down. And, to any other young moms listening that might be in a similar situation that I just recanted, was just, don't give up on who you were. Don't forget who you were as a little girl, or don't forget what makes you tick. Find your creativity again. Find what makes you just sing inside and dance. What finds your soul, like what sets your soul on fire? And if it's this person that's snuffing out your fire that you can't get rid of, I can tell you this right now. It is worth its weight in gold to open that door and take your things and children, if you have them with you, and just go.
Mhm.
And don't worry about it. Don't look back. Just go. There's going to be animosity. There might be fights. There might be ripples. There might be waves. Ride the waves right on out of there, because I'm going to tell you, once you find who you were authentically and originally supposed to be, it's like this Zen moment where you just you're tripping on yourself. Like, I'm still very much in a void. I'm not, I don't think we're ever quite done. We are always a forever project on our own self, which is kind of cool. If you think about it.
Yeah.
It's like if we were to sit at our 90-year-old rocking chair and reflect back on this day, are we going to make ourselves happy, or live with a lot of, I should have, I could have, I would have? And that's not me. I'm just like, and I feel so what was the word that I always use? Just completely independent, like fiercely independent. And I think that scares a lot of men because they feel like, I don't know, it scares them. And I think that me being in the pocket in the void of my life right now where I'm just kind of in between a lot, it's okay. And it's scary. It's not scary, but it's okay. There's like this, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe if I can put the words on it, I'll write it down for
It's
the
like
next
a,
pod. But it's a
yes.
emotion. Yeah.
Well, you know, what's scary about that place that you're in is the uncertainty of
Oh,
not knowing
absolutely.
what's next, of not knowing, you know, but honestly, that's the thing I want to, with what you're saying to the younger
Mhm.
women who might be pregnant, who are probably feeling scared, maybe feeling that
Yeah.
pressure of sticking it out with a person who they're not really resonating with, they're not really right for them.
Yeah.
Don't be scared of the next steps because it's so much better and things happen in such a way that things work out. They really
Right.
do. And you need to have
Yeah.
that. If there's ever a belief to have, believe that things have a way of working out.
Yeah.
I live by that and I love it because I'm telling you, there's
Mhm.
so many times that I've ran into obstacles in my life and was like, oh my God, I feel like I keep running into these walls. I don't know how this is going to fix. I don't know, blah, blah. But I'm like, you know what? It's going to work out. Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And literally like another day or two or whatever, something does absolutely work out. And it's just like, oh, okay. Woo. I'm
There
glad
it
I
is.
didn't,
It was
I'm
not
glad
worth the worry.
I'm glad I didn't put that negative energy and
Mhm.
worrying and freaking out that I used to back in the day. I used to. There was
Yeah.
a time I was like that. And it's like
Mhm.
I wasted so much energy and time, and then it would end up working out. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I just suffered for no reason.
I know, but I
Wow.
think it's just human flaw for us just
Yeah.
to go to the negative because that's where resistance is. And we struggle with resistance and because our body goes to the safe place, you know? It's like where does growth? It's outside that box. It's outside that circle.
Right.
And I think for a long time, the reason why I stayed so long in the first room when my kids were little was because I think I was afraid of money because he was making the money. I was a stay-at-home mom for 8.5 years of those. So I went from making I had a little side business. I used to have an Etsy shop and I shipped things around the world and that was fun. And I was able to do that when the kids were little. So I went from having like basically no income. And then once my kids were a little older, I started working again, having a little bit more income. And then when I bought my business, it was like, holy cow, I can do this. I do not need anybody else's money. This is my money. I'm living within my means. I'm not a millionaire yet. Let's work, why not? That's my goal for next year. Why not? It's funny is I wanted to take a check from my checkbook that I don't use because who uses checks anymore and write myself out a check in the order of to $1 million from like today's date. Like, why not? And just leave that as a goal. And just like when you're having a bad day, just look at that check and be like, I earned that. Like, I need that and I deserve it and I'm worth it. So work for it.
Absolutely.
And
Speak it to
yeah,
existence and then take
yeah,
actionable steps towards that, like in any way that you can,
absolutely.
especially when you get that inspired action, that
Yeah,
intuition. That's when you really
yeah,
should jump on
yeah.
opportunities right there.
Because and I feel like, I'm telling my story, but I'm still within my story because it's always unfolding and unfurling in front of us. And
Mhm.
I'm kind of excited to see where the next year goes. Like, who knows?
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
I don't
Me too.
know. Like, bring
I
it
feel,
on. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
This whole podcast journey alone for us has been so incredible,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see where we are in a year from now from this
Yeah.
because this is my
Absolutely.
first experience with it too, and I love it. And that's something I was actually having a conversation with somebody about, a family member, with how like everybody wants to put it out there right now that, oh, it's so easy to be an entrepreneur. It's so easy. You can make this money in no time, blah, blah, blah. And it's like there's almost like this falsified presence that they bring to it that makes
Right.
you believe something. It's like, but let's be real here.
Hmm.
Let's create something that really helps people understand that it is a challenge.
Right.
It's not a get rich scheme overnight
No,
thing that's going to happen for
no.
you, but it's still so worth it. There's
Well, it's
still
getting it. Yeah.
something.
You're putting yourself out there in the universe,
Yeah.
and you're connecting with people. Like I said before we went live I wouldn't have never met you ever. Because I'm up in Maine and you're where?
North Carolina.
Okay, so we probably would have a really hard chance to meet organically.
Right.
Even in the stores or even out in public, it's like a lot of people don't smile and say hi. Everybody's either down on their phone and it's just like you're missing out on, beautiful smiles and just a connection of making eye contact with people and saying, hi, how are you? And yeah, and it's just otherwise, if we weren't on that same podcasting group, we wouldn't have likewise never bumped in, or maybe I wasn't. Yeah, I think it's
No.
a beautiful thing. It's a cool journey to realize we're here for this reason. We were meant to do this. So it's the universe being like, you're on the right path, keep going and help others. And the reason why I love to listen to podcasts was when I was doing my cleaning business or driving. I did a lot of driving. Listening to your favorite podcasters becomes your friend. They're like your friend in your back pocket. And yeah, so if we can be someone's friend in their back pocket, that's amazing. And just know that if you're going through anything, just keep going, because this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And that's the chapter I'm in right now. It's like, yeah, this too shall pass. So
Yes, I love that. That's
okay.
a great advice to the Sioux shall pass, because it's true. No matter how hard things may seem right now, they're
Yeah.
just temporary. It's going to change for you. And if you have a
Yeah.
good attitude and bring good trust and energy out there, and you put that out there instead of the worry, you're going to attract the best outcomes. Like you're going to really attract the right stuff for you to get it taught. Like you just,
tomorrow's already never happening again. Like if you get into that pocket of like, yeah, well, yesterday happened and tomorrow might, but right now let's just do what we can with the time we do have. And I think keeping your happiness on the front burner before anybody else's, and keeping a smile on your face, even if you're going through it, even if it's a shitty day, like it's not gonna, just don't carry it with you. Try to lighten your load every day. Laugh at yourself. Yeah, just laugh at yourself. If I have any more advice, is just laugh at yourself. Because if you're not laughing, you're crying, and crying is, sometimes you need a good cry.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We do.
Either,
I've done that before. I've gone to the bathroom and just let it out. But
and
that's the
it
thing. It's like you
feels
let it out. It does.
much better.
No.
They say that they said that, I've heard it before, and it's a beautiful quote, or premise to a quote, was that tears are your soul's blood. And it was a beautiful analogy, thinking, if you cry, it's just your soul kind of just shedding and releasing. And it's just, I think it's imperative that, make crying more normalized. It's not because you're sad necessarily. It's just, no, it's a release. I'm a weirdo because I mostly cry when I'm mad or angry. I don't cry because I'm sad.
Oh,
I
I actually like that too when I can get angry. Well, it's funny because even when I'm in pregnancy, like my husband had expected, he's like, I've always heard these horror stories of women who get angry and are moody, but I was so happy. And if anything, I just was emotional. Like we always have this hilarious story where I did a post one time on Facebook. It was it was one of our anniversaries or something. And I kept saying, have you checked it out yet? Whatever. Because back then I was big on like, I cared too much.
Yeah. You want to see those likes grow.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then he goes and he was like, yeah, Mary. He's like, I liked it. And I started crying. I was like, you just liked it? Like, it was so funny though, because he cracked out because he was like, are you seriously getting emotional? Because he was kidding. He didn't really just
They have
like
no
the post.
idea though. When
I
you're
know. Yeah.
on a
Like,
tripwire.
I poured my heart out into it, sent him a super sweet love thing, blah, blah, but it's funny looking back at it that was just part of my little, hormonal pregnancy thing. Like,
it is. It's total. And there's another pocket for another podcast and another day, being like man brain.
Oh God. Yeah.
Men. Yeah. That's a whole other, that's a volumized series of people that can just spew about man brain. Man brain versus woman brain. Yeah. They're just, they're just born from a different seed, I think. And that's okay. Yeah. If everybody was the same, or if everybody was perfect all the time, like life would be so boring. It would be so boring. So I'm okay with.
Yeah, no, I love it. I hate right now in this country how divided they're trying to make us, because it's like, golly, it's our differences that should unite us. Like it's
I know
what makes us so special, and there's nothing wrong with it. We should all be able to just kind of be who we are and just love each other and be okay, and stop trying to shove it down each other's throats. Like, oh, you have to believe this way. You have to, think this way. It's like, nah, let us be us, It's
okay. And I think, when my kids were in school, and girls are worse than boys, girls are catty, they get the bullying a little bit earlier. And girls are terrible. They always have been, always will be. Put that out there into the universe. It's okay. And I think looking back now, it's just because little girls are just so much more powerful than they think, and they don't know how to let it out until they just bully, they naturally tease. So I used to say to my kids was just, you don't have to have them over for dinner, but just be nice to them at school. Meaning you don't have to be friends with everybody. Or, I've also said like, I might not be everybody's cup of tea and I'm okay with that. So I would kind of trickle it down to my kids too, being like, you're not their cup of tea. They're not yours. They're not going to come over for dinner tonight, but you can just be nice to them while they're at school. So yeah.
I know. I wish we
Yeah.
all, that's one thing I teach my kids too, very much is being kind, because
Yeah.
you don't know what a person's going through in that home. You don't know
No.
what they're going through in their life. You don't know what it is. And I'm sorry, if you could just take a moment of showing somebody a smile, a kindness,
Yeah.
you don't realize what you could, how you can impact them,
Right.
impact them. And I think that it would help lessen the evilness of this world as well. If we, because a
Yeah.
lot of these people who are doing these horrific things and are evil, it's because they don't know love. They never had love. They don't
Exactly.
know self-love. That's the thing. That's
They want
sad.
attention at all costs.
And
For
this
any
is all,
cost.
this is what
Yeah.
they know. This is
Yeah.
unfortunately their upbringing. This is all they know, how
Yeah.
to get attention, how to feel like they're somebody being seen, heard. And it's terrible, but it's because
Yeah.
they don't know love. And really, and
I
that's
know.
why I'm trying to spread the love and the positivity.
Yeah.
Because Lord knows I'm sick and tired of seeing all the negative. I grew up in
I
that
know.
enough. I don't
Yeah.
want it. I don't want it. I want us to love and be kind and connect. Like I said, I love meeting women like you. I just think it's so awesome to realize that there are good people in this world and that
Yeah.
we don't have to suffer. We don't have
I was just you just said suffer, and I was just thinking the survivability
to.
is 100%. And I think there's another quote too that says, you have survived 100% of your worst days, which is true. Like the survival rate, like you get over it, unless you did something stupid about it, then you're going to survive and you're going to learn from it. And I think if I could pound that into anybody's presence, is just learn from the messages, learn from the signs, learn from the constant mistakes, move past it, And I think to what you were just saying is that no one's shown love. And I think what needs to be learned is self-love, because I didn't learn that for a long time. I didn't even know, you've heard the term, but until you really grasp the concept, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and I grew up where it was like almost looked at as being conceited to love
Right.
yourself. And that's so wrong. It's not conceited. It's confidence. It's knowing
Right.
who you are and being okay with that and being true to that. I wish
Right.
I was taught that, I
Yeah.
would have killed, because it would have prevented me probably from falling into drugs, falling into the
Yeah.
wrong relationships, attracting the wrong kind of people, getting bullied like I was. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot of different things that would have saved me
Yeah.
from. And that's what I hope to strive for anybody listening, is to
Yeah.
help you to save yourself or even your kids, because a lot of moms are listening. Help save your children from having
Mhm.
that experience by starting when they're young, teaching them to
Yeah.
love who they are, accept
Yeah.
themselves for who they are
Yeah.
too. That's a big part of
Yeah.
it. Stop trying to make
Yeah.
them think that they have to be somebody that they're not in order to be
Right.
loved. Like, no, they are amazing and perfect exactly the way they are.
Let them fly their own little weirdo flag happily. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
just let everybody be them. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I really, that's a big value of mine, is because my daughter, it's actually kind of funny because I do call myself, I tell my daughter all the time she's beautiful, but it's so funny because, she's 4 years old. And the other day I was like, Bray, you're so funny. And she's like, no, mommy, I'm beautiful.
Yes. Get that right, Mom.
That's like, that's so funny. It's like, oh my God.
But you can be all of it. You can be beautiful and funny. So
That's what I told her.
yeah, that's adorable. And 4 is such a fun age because they're so impressionable and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you
It's
can
like,
mess with them a little. Yeah.
yeah, one day she wants to be an astronaut. One day she wants to be, a unicorn, and one day a princess, and all those
Yeah.
different things. And it's so
Let it
wonderful.
go. Yeah. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a fun
Just
time.
as long as she can be a happy unicorn and a happy princess and a happy astronaut. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I think this has been amazing. And
Yeah.
Christy,
Well, thank you.
of course, thank you so much for being here. Before we go, can you just tell the audience, who's listening? I know I will include all of this, of
Yeah.
course, in the show notes, but just tell them a little bit about where they could find you if they wanted to
Yeah.
follow you.
Like I said, it's called Hold My Shovel Podcast. It's going to be on all platforms and launch date is January 4th. And if anybody's listening out there that hears it before now or a year from now, I don't care when, and has a crazy story or a life tale or experiences or just an epic breakthrough, like by all means, email me, reach out and get on my pod. But I would love Mary on my pod.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I want to hear, I want to hold your shovel and let's hear the tales that made you who you are. And funny, horrific, crazy, all of it. Because it all matters, And I think if we just get a little bit more self-deprecating and laugh and
Yeah.
cry together, and it's all okay. At the end of the day, it's all okay. And yeah, solidarity. You can be a strong person no matter what you went through. So
Absolutely. And I think this is also another reason why you know, putting yourself out there and allowing yourself to be vulnerable and not be afraid to just get out there. You'll meet the right people who will
yeah,
appreciate and love you. Yes, I
absolutely.
understand that there are not so good people out there, but don't have
That's
that
okay.
belief that that's everybody, because it's not everybody. I'm
No,
learning that
they
more
don't
and
matter.
more. Yeah, exactly. You're going to find the right people for you and just keep
Yeah,
going. Just
yeah.
be true to
Haters
yourself.
are gonna
And
hate, and they're fine. They can
oh
because
yeah.
they're miserable. If haters are throwing shade at you or being negative to you, something's going on with them. It's not you.
Exactly. They're just projecting it, their own unhappiness,
Exactly.
their own hate for
Yeah,
themselves onto you,
yeah,
unfortunately. And so,
yeah,
if anything, just kill them with kindness.
yeah,
Show them even more kindness. Maybe they really need that, and
yeah,
instead of you falling into their trap of like, let's start an argument, let's start,
yeah,
let's fall down
yeah,
this really negative
yeah,
trap. So yeah, I love it. Like I said, Christy, you are
yeah.
amazing. I am so
Oh, thank you.
excited to see where you go and how you thrive, because you're on an incredible journey right now of self-discovery, and it's going to take you places. It truly
I hope
is.
so.
It is. It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
own it, girl. It is.
Thank you.
Thanks again for being on
Oh,
my show. It's just been an
yes,
absolute pleasure.
absolutely. Yes, thank you for having me.
Here are the key takeaways from today's episode. Life is full of unexpected twists, and challenges may come when you least expect them. Embrace change as an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. Recognize and admit when something isn't working in your life. Christy acknowledged that staying in a relationship for the sake of their children wasn't healthy and ultimately led to her losing herself. It's crucial to prioritize yourself and your well-being, both mentally and emotionally. Loving yourself first allows you to be a better parent and partner. Reflect on past experiences and relationships to identify patterns and lessons. Christy learned valuable lessons from both her relationships, highlighting the importance of communication and addressing issues openly. Financial independence can empower you to make decisions based on your needs and desires. Christy's journey from being financially dependent to owning a business and supporting herself is inspiring. Life unfolds in mysterious ways. Trust that things will work out, even when faced with uncertainty. Christy's decision to move forward despite not knowing the future is a powerful reminder that the journey is just as important as the destination. Be true to yourself. It's okay to be yourself, and doing so leads to genuine connections and personal fulfillment. Focus on what truly matters and let go of the negativity. Choose your battles wisely and prioritize what brings you joy and fulfillment. Recognize your worth and don't settle for less. Christy's decision to leave relationships that didn't prioritize her well-being showcases the importance of self-respect. Life is a continuous journey of growth. Embrace the learning process and be open to new possibilities. Remember, you are not alone in your journey. Keep moving forward, embrace the lessons life presents, and find strength in your own resilience. Be sure to subscribe and follow Christy's podcast, Hold My Shovel, for incredible stories and conversations. Lastly, subscribe to my show and leave me a review. Your feedback is much appreciated. If you want my support in your journey towards creating a life you desire, then visit me at marydibblecoaching.com or contact me on social media to learn more about my offers and programs and how I can help you find the results you are longing for. Let us, radiant moms, continue to rise and enjoy life to the fullest. Until next time, much love.